So what I used to do actually on Red Mornings and these things is I'd start a conversation with Carl as I hit it, so that way as it ends, it's like, oh, you're coming in, you're joining the conversation, like a buddy coming over. But
Right,
with
right.
you, I'm just going to explain to the audience what the fuck we're doing.
Makes sense.
Hey guys, yeah. So Paul, this is like the first. Is this the first time it's just been like you and me one on one on
That's
either of our
it.
channels?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jeez,
I
the
know,
two
right?
military guys and not one
Not
word
one. I
between them.
know. We're too disgruntled and lazy from military life now.
Yeah. Well, here's a good one. We'll already start off with this question. Are we taking super chat questions? I'm going to leave that up to you. If you want to,
Yeah.
Paul, then sure.
Oh yeah. We'll do it.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, I don't know. I figured the first part. I always want to ask Batman origin stories, but I hate the concept of Batman origin stories.
Right.
Did I ever tell you about this?
No.
Oh,
What's
okay,
it?
so when I first went to I don't know, some random convention, shelter named Limus in Central Florida, and
Yes.
nobody knew who
Glad
the
I
hell I
stayed out of
was.
that.
Yeah, you lucky bastard. Good learning experience. Leave me alone. Anyways, first day, everybody knew who Rolo was, but nobody knew what he looked like. Nobody knew what I looked like, and I just sat in the lobby that first night, and there was like full of guys at the bar, and all they were doing is swapping like yeah, this is what happened. My wife divorced me here and took the kids out of state, and everybody, and it kind of reminded me of every Batman movie, how you have to kill Bruce's parents. Otherwise you forget who the fuck Batman is. And I was like,
Right.
so I started calling them Batman origin stories, and I hated it because you could tell everybody was like, that's your entrance fee to the clubhouse to talk about the whammon that did you wrong. And I'm just like, what a
What a
sulking
terrible way.
victim thing. But then at the same time, I'm kind of curious too. It's like, how did you end up in the most unattractive space on the internet with a bunch of nerds
Right. It's a
talking
very
about
good.
Coon all day?
I'm a closet nerd. That's first of all. I'm really, yeah. People think I'm all Chad or whatever. I'm no total dork. I
Yeah.
read. I don't even watch television unless there's a girl next to me and she's naked. It was really interesting though. Like I really know what guys mean or go through, especially like when black pill guys come out and they're like, oh, it's all looks, just be this Chad and you're just gonna get all the ladies. Look, I'm not a terrible looking guy. I mean, I'd say I'm on the upper end of the SMV scale when it comes to looks. I didn't look much different when I was younger, and I was chewed up and spit out by women. Man, it was embarrassing. Like when I was a teenager, it was terrible. First few years of college too was just me getting just thrown into the friend zone as quickly as they could possibly put me there. And
Oh,
it was
dude,
just,
same. What the hell
yeah.
is this? Are we brothers? Do I have
Yeah,
a
I
white
think
brother
we're
somewhere?
related. Yeah. I gotta get my genealogy done again. We're probably
Nice.
so, yeah. Yeah, it's just that's, and some guys, know what that's like. It was weird. I decided about halfway through college, I'm like, I realized just in the friend zone, and I just made this observation. And I'm older, a little bit older than you, so I didn't have any red pill stuff. There was no internet much going on. It was
Oh,
like,
so you didn't even have like mystery or anything.
no, mystery was just sort of coming out and stuff. Like this is late 90s. So I graduated in 96 high school. I wanted to do military. I have psoriasis, so I couldn't go right away. That was something I did later in life. And so my early 20s, I went to school instead. I had no idea what I was doing. It's liberal arts, useless degree. I ended up going to grad school for some psychology, but it was like, it was figuring it out. Right. And
Right.
so I'm working, figuring it out, and just getting stepped on by girls, and I finally made this observation, the male orbiter observation, realized, okay, wait a second. These girls are like friends with this guy over here who will, fix her car when she has car trouble, and friends with this guy over here because he'll take her out and hang out with her, but she doesn't sleep with him,
Right.
Friends with me because I'm the emotional tampon. That was always my job. It was definitely the emotional tampon. And friends with, this other dude is just like, has a cool boat or something. And then there's the guy that she sleeps with. Now, all these guys want a banger, right? And they're all trying to bring their value to the table in order to like demonstrate that they're valuable enough to do something more than the friendship. And she just kind of keeps them at arm's length, keeps them in that sort of friend zone, and lets them orbit around her and takes their resources, whether it's emotional in my case and being a good listener, or whether it's, dude taking her on a date when she's sad or whatever. And then there's a guy that she's banging who does none of the things that we're doing, none of it. And so you're like, wait a second. And then she was always crying. These girls would always cry on my shoulder about the a-hole that, they're banging that won't call them again or whatever, that's seeing their friend or, and I just,
story is old as time. I get it.
Old as time. I finally said, I'm not doing this anymore. This is such bull crap. And I gave these girls, there was 2 of them at the time that I was really friend zone with, but I mean, I have a long list of friend zones. I gave them a call, or I didn't call them, but like when they called me or when we made contact, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I just told them, listen, clearly that I'm interested in something more than a friendship with you. If you're not interested in that, that's cool, but I'm not going to keep hanging out with you, hearing your dumb stories about guys you're banging when I'm interested in something more than that. If you want to have anything with me, give me a call when you're interested in pursuing something else. And if you contact me, I'm going to assume that it's something more than the friendship and I'm taking it in that direction.
And none of them called. Or did they?
They first both got mad.
Yeah.
And when I'm an a-hole, I'm a jerk, and why can't I just be a good friend to them and all this crap? And I said, it's just not working for me. Right. Then one of them called about, I don't know, week and a half later. It was just like, hey, just checking in, seeing how you're doing. And we ended up banging. So
look at that.
Yeah. So I got out of the friend zone with one. The other one, I don't even know what happened to her. But
you just know people are going to laugh. That story is the 100,000 guys out there friend zoned. He's like, you know what? If I stand up once and like 50 of them will work and the other 900,000 will be looking at this for false hope.
Right. It won't work. Well, and the point was, it was just setting my standard as a guy. I just decided, I said to myself, you know what? If I'm interested in something else other than platonic with a girl, I mean, I can be okay platonic with a chick, but if I'm interested in something more than that, I'm not giving away myself, my resources, my energy, unless she is pursuing the same thing with me. That's it. That's the only standard I had. I didn't know anything else about women. I didn't know. I was trying to figure it out. Didn't have pickup skills really much. I just had normal social skills. But just by simply setting that standard, all of a sudden I started getting a rotation. And so from halfway through college to the end, I was also bouncing too, which put me in this weird SMV sort of category where I let the girls in and, and he's a tough guy, got in a fight or whatever stupid stuff. And so,
which is funny because no bouncer gets into fights. Every bouncer avoids fights because you don't get paid for fights.
No. But it happened. I was in high risk, places, and actually in Windsor, believe it or not, some of the places working under the table. Yeah.
High risk in Windsor. Now you're telling me. Okay, now here's the story I'm curious about.
Yeah. So Windsor's not a lot.
Sarnia, maybe, not Windsor.
Oh, Sarnia. Yeah, Sarnia definitely was one. So Windsor, it's not like there's a high crime rate there, but there were just a lot of dumb Americans who don't know how to drink and don't know how to behave themselves that would come across the border and just drink and get thrown out of bars.
That's right, because it's like Detroit's on the other side, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you had your little bars that weren't like you had your little bars that were prone just to getting fights happening, and so that's how I could get hired there under the table too. You know what I mean? That's how that would work. And and so I just did these events and did stuff, and I was working at a restaurant and just getting through school and just started spinning plates, and then after that, I had a nice little Rolodex, but spinning plates and spinning girls and not having much emotional attachment. You're a lot of low value chicks, a lot of chicks who are hot but are just train wrecks. And then I met one that was pretty cool and checked a lot of good blocks, right? And then I jumped.
The infamous high quality woman, dude.
The high quality woman. I met her, and I'll give her this. She does have a good set of like moral values and stuff that were better, a little bit beyond, my peers that I was dating at the time, the other women. And so there I was in a blue pill marriage with this chick, freaking miserable.
Wait, married already? How long did that take?
So I got married at 26. I met this girl right when I turned 24. So way early, got married at 26, then joined the military. And so, I was like, this is Mrs. Miserable Marriage. I'm going to join the military. It's like, I'm going to go. And I wanted to go fight, do combat stuff. I always felt like I wasn't doing what I was meant to be doing. I was, really into fitness and martial arts and all this stuff. And then, I looked into law enforcement. That didn't appeal to me at all. And
plus it was like what, 2004, 2005. We were right on like mission accomplished, Jack Bauer 24. Because I joined in 03, same thing.
Yes.
Like, let's get some terrorists. Let's do this.
Right. That was all about it. I was all about fighting terrorists, man. And so then I got in the military, and that's what I got to go play with and do. But in my time in the military, my marriage was just like fell apart. And it was just the typical, a little atypical, because I was like the blue pill alpha. Like if you met me, you would think this is a pretty alpha guy.
Dude, it's military. That's the breeding ground for the blue pill alpha archetype.
Exactly. I was just doing my duty, which is not having sex ever with a chick I'm married to. It was just horrifying. And
at least you didn't have to stay in the queues, did you? Or whatever they call them. They call them primary military quarters, like PMQs up in Canada.
Oh yeah, just barracks. We call them barracks.
And so were you staying in the barracks then, in their housing?
No, I got to do my own housing because I got in with college, started off and got it, promoted as an NCO right away. So it was NCO pretty quick and got to get off barracks. And it was just, we just had this. You dodged
such a bullet. You have no idea.
I'm sure I dealt with soldiers who had to live there, so I know. But yeah, it was going through that, figuring out my own, like, what is going on. I was interested in psychology, had started grad school, never completed grad school, but I was interested in psychology and more or less relationships and that whole dynamic, mainly because I was so bad at it that I kind of became good at getting girls. And then I was in this terrible marriage. Like I just really wanted to figure that out. Mm-hmm. And so I went down that track, but then the other part of that was I was dealing with soldier welfare, as you're familiar with that as a non-commissioned officer.
What do you mean soldier welfare? I probably have a different name for it.
Yeah, probably just making sure that they're basically combat ready for things like deployments by handling their outside life outside of the military. So you make sure that
they just called that a secondary duty. Canadians have this habit of like picking up everything that needs to be done and not having trades for it.
Yeah, so we had to make sure, especially in infantry kind of environments, we are, classically really stupid about managing our lives. And so it's like, these are the guys that are marrying the strippers, marrying the bartender, marrying the single mom, and just turning into a train wreck, handing over all their money. She's spending it all, banging some other dude. Like it's all these horrible situations. And so you're handling these situations both on deployment and off deployment, and helping dudes with that. And then I was helping dudes with their pickup skills. And then I was learning stuff too. So this is when Mystery Method I got some wind of that. I was getting on some forums as a totally anonymous guy because I was embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
I thought as an alpha guy, I shouldn't be looking up how to game women. I should just know how to game women, which of course is kind of stupid, but that was my thought back then. So it was covertly going through the forums, you know what I mean? And figuring things out and not posting anything, just reading and like learning and then trying to apply it. And I became kind of like the guy who knew about women, knew about relationships. I was like the hoe whisperer. And so guys would take all of their, problems to me in the military. That's sort of how it happened. And then from there, I had civilians asking me about it, offering me money to do consultations for their relationships and stuff. And I said, okay, cool. Actually, my first client was a female fitness instructor who wanted me to help her husband be more alpha. It was something.
I hope she didn't word it like that.
Kind of.
Oh man, it was bad. I don't know. Is it me or is it cringe when girls start using manosphere language? I'm like, dude, start talking about makeup tutorials. Get out of this. This is bad enough when we're doing it.
Right. Seriously, man. So I was like, well, okay. So I ended up, coaching them for money. I know you hate the word coaching, but I don't know what else to call it. There's a term. It's a term actually. The word coaching separates therapy in the United States. So for legal reasons, you want to, like my legal disclaimers, I got to put coaching because there's actually a real term that means something different than therapy, doing clinical therapy. Right. So
at least you thought it through because that's why I went with consulting. Same thing. Cause it's like, I'm not accountable. They can't fire me if I don't get the Super Bowl kind of shit. So I'm like, it's information. And I don't know if you've ever done any corporate work, but consultants never listen to whatever a consultant says. So I'm like, perfect expectation.
That's it.
All right, you get to be the coach that I don't shit on then.
Yeah, it was a legal thing that attorney, was looking at, that. So even when like Sean Smith, for example, who's a licensed therapist, when he does takes clients out of state, he's not licensed in that state, or out of the country, he's not licensed in that country. So he has to bill it as coaching. Coaching is a different legal term for, for the disclaimer, I guess,
Interesting. I always thought the APA would be like a federally recognized thing, or maybe it's just like a certain exam per state. I don't know.
Well, the APA is federally recognized, but each state has their own criteria for what constitutes a licensed clinical psychologist or a licensed counselor, which is another thing. And so if I say I'm counseling, it applies I'm a licensed counselor, which I don't, I'm not doing that. I'm not a licensed clinical therapist or acting as such for anybody. So the term I was told to use is coaching, and that's how that became the thing. But
fair enough.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how few people think shit like this through, like not just for this space, but starting a business in general.
Right.
Like they don't think, oh, okay, I've made $100,000 this year. What are taxes? And you're just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Right.
Or some certain famous brand. I won't mention who or where he is, but you'll figure it out if you guys know the story. Mixed personal and business expenses.
Oh,
while registered as an LLC, which I don't know if you guys have ever had to do business taxes, but
yeah, you can't do that. You can't.
I mean, you can, but it just makes your life a living hell.
Right. I have an accountant that tells me what to do. That's how this works. I had a real estate business before, and so I cut my teeth making all my bad choices in real estate.
So this isn't your first?
No, I don't talk about that very much. I do. I was just a real estate agent. But I, with a partner, built a team. We did pretty well. We weren't the highest producing, team in the planet, but we weren't the lowest either. And we won a couple of awards with our branch and stuff for high production. So, I mean,
nice,
not bad. Like I have some success there, It's
Alpha of the Month Real Estate Award.
yeah, Alpha Real Estate
guy. Here, I'm going to cut in here quickly. Where'd it go? Super chat. Red sings the blues. Saw you on Rob Says. Love the stream. Would love to get you my podcast. How can I contact you? Here, I'll just send you the business email. It's also on the YouTube site. We'll chat it up here. Thanks. Yeah, I was talking with Rob briefly before about like video editing and my love for the craft. Whatever.
Dude, your videos are sweet. Mine are sweet.
Oh, you got to see the new one. I've switched it. Now that end cards, I find end cards don't get us any clicks at all. I've switched to like a IMAX 2.3 by 3 format. So it's like trying to film Lawrence of Arabia just talking about dicks. It's ridiculous.
Dude, I don't know anything about this. It's like I'm so weak with technology. That's my biggest thing.
Practice, whatever. You got fucking down pat, and you know how to run a business properly. I'd say
right.
As far as all the skills to be lacking, you're not lacking the ones that matter.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you. I got some military experience, but I know there's always differences between Canadian and American. So, for example, when I was talking about that, Blue Pill Alpha, I was thinking about this guy I used to work with. He was a supply tech. I don't know. For you, it's whoever handles logistics, whatever they call them. And he married a chick who had 5 kids by 3 dads.
Ooh.
And because he was so thirsty and unattractive, she managed to hook him in to having all the ex-baby daddies living at his house while he was out sailing.
Holy crap.
But the problem was he was also fat. So the girls on the ship were just relentless, ripping into him and shit every time I was on a sail. What a fat, ugly fuck. And you're just like, geez. And then I hear this story, which was whatever. But then one of our friends who stayed in his mess, he's like, yeah, dude, he's got problems and nobody's trying to help him. I'm like, what do you mean? This will really boost if you're ever like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this stuff. Maybe I don't belong here. No. He would take the boxes after he'd clean out like new supplies and shit. He'd be writing suicide notes in the boxes before he takes them into recycling. A couple of the bosons actually caught that. They still never took him off a ship. Like in America, if somebody starts writing suicide notes, do you guys have a process for that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, it's actually, it's not, there's some flaws in that process though. I mean, normally we try to keep, I know, surprise, government has flaws. You're supposed to keep it down at the lowest level of chain of command. So team leaders, they can handle it with the guy and kind of talk him through some things and see what's going on. If it's more serious, then goes up to the next NCO, let's say a squad leader, and maybe platoon sergeant gets involved. If it gets to that point, usually talk to your first sergeant, which is like the non-commissioned officer for the entire company, make a decision to send this guy to mental health. And then there's mental health, areas usually. I don't know much about, like, I'm sure they have a mental health person on a ship. I've never been on a ship before, but
Oh no, there's no room for superfluous stuff. Best we
yeah.
got is a phone call to the Padre for us.
Yeah, well, there would be somebody designated, even if it's not their primary thing. And it could be a chaplain, or it could be a mental health. There's like a mental health like person, or a doctor, even if there's a medical person that they just sort of, they've had some training and some classes on suicide prevention and awareness, and then they work with the dude. And the chain of command then makes a decision how at risk this guy is. Does he need to get his weapon taken away? Does he need to get his shoelaces taken away? Like how serious are we talking about here?
Oh, you guys are going full Epstein on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Fair enough.
Our suicide, I don't know if it's the same in Canada, but our suicide rates are pretty high, in the United States. That's really what got me into the space too, is getting guys to not kill themselves. That was a big thing, because every funeral I went to, and some of them pretty good friends of mine, where the guys off themselves, or they drug overdosed, but to like a point where like you've got to be trying to kill yourself. You know what I mean? There is a bad relationship or broken relationship behind it. Not saying it was a chick's fault, but it's something that was wrong with the dynamic between that guy and his wife or girlfriend or baby mama or whatever. And it added to that problem, and usually was kind of the core of the problem, or usually that was
always the core.
Right. And so, cause that guy, I have a thing I call when I refer to women, I call it good chimp. Women want to be good chimpanzees. Okay. Like their hindbrain, they need to be good. It's considered a good person, right? Whenever they argue, if they think they're a bad person for admitting fault, they won't admit it. Right?
I see you've argued with 35-year-old spinsters online. You've learned the technique.
Right. So women want to be good chimps. Well, men want to be useful chimps though. Right. We were the ones out collecting resources and providing resources for our tribes. We evolved that way. If we feel that we're not useful to the tribe and that we're a drain on resources, their selfish gene theory, there's immediate drive to want to take yourself out of the gene pool so that your offspring doesn't pollute the gene pool and that you don't drain resources on the existing tribe. There's a drive.
Really?
Yep. And so
I'm curious on that. Where do I go to look up more on this one?
I don't know, because I'm a pile of reading and a lack of keeping my sources.
I will get Redditor
sources. I know I'm terrible. I will get you some sources on that though, but it just makes sense when you think about it. Like in the way they do suicide awareness or prevention, it's, since everything is done with a feminine imperative now, they approach it. Yeah. So their suicide prevention briefs are all geared towards, even though they don't say so, they're geared towards a feminine strategy, or women, which is talk to your friends, be a good chimp, get all your friends to tell you how great you are, stuff like that. If a guy isn't valuable or doesn't feel valuable, he doesn't want to talk to his friends, and his friends telling him, hey man, you're worth it, you're really cool, isn't going to matter.
He's not going to believe him.
No, he needs a job to do. He needs something that will give him a sense of value. You know what I mean? Like, do this thing, you'll feel valuable.
Well, and dude, you just explained the heroin epidemic in the Rust Belt right there. Mm-hmm. Everybody who was taking pain meds because they lost their jobs and they're hooked on those is not because they're hurting. It's because they don't have a job because they moved manufacturing out to, was it Mexico or China or wherever?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's crazy how much though. Like, it's not just military guys, manufacturing guys, farmers. My hometown, even NAFTA, completely gutted our logging industry. Same thing, except for instead of like back then they didn't have Xanax. It was the 80s, so they just went to cocaine. But you do what you got.
Right. Well, yeah, and so that's the thing of it. It's approaching it from what would work with a female telling the guy he's a good chimp, but really we need to make him a useful chimp. We need to realize that he needs to find his value in society, in the world, within his peers, outside of girls too. So a lot of guys base the way that they value themselves on some girl's opinion, so some girl's subjective, crappy opinion who makes crappy sexual decisions her entire life. Now that's what the guy's going to base his whole sense of value on, And
that's not a train wreck waiting to happen. Jesus Christ.
Right. And so this is why when she tells him he's a piece of crap and whatever, I'm taking the kids, he's like, oh, I'm a piece of crap, I better kill myself. Like, no, bro, don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. People care for you.
Yeah.
Part that gets me the most on that is not even does it not work, but it's like nobody asked for that. I've never seen a girl who's like willing to take on I hate using the term, like emotional labor. of
Yeah.
anybody. Maybe your kids.
Yeah.
Maybe. But then a guy walking in with that boob nestling bullshit, a girl will fuck it up just so she's not responsible for when you put it in your mouth. You know,
Yeah.
I'm trying to use euphemisms here. I don't want YouTube going, no, these guys got to go.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, Rich won't even talk. He won't even say the word. The S word.
You got to come up with the euphemisms like struggle hugging. Yeah,
struggle hugging.
Oh, actually, that reminds me. That was the point I was trying to make. I was thinking there was this psychologist I was dunking on in an old Red Pill Coffee video. I'm trying to get his name because he's got some stupid name. Dr. Cameron Seppa. I don't know if you've heard of this guy.
I think so.
Yeah, he's always on Twitter talking about, but that's his thing. And I don't get this. I'm curious your thoughts. And then we'll get your guys' super chats right after this. So he talks about how the APA doesn't like men, female strategies for it. So what you need is a masculine therapist. And I always wondered, like, what's the point of therapy if the APA gives you accreditation, but you have to have this outside the accreditation quality? Then what good's the fucking accreditation, you know?
Yeah. Well, this is why I don't care to go back to grad school. I'm helping more people in the areas that I want to help them in the capacity that I am in right now. And I have an ability to do that through courses, the book, when it eventually gets finished and dropped.
Starting to sound like Rich there with the eventually.
I know. Well, because I'm like I know I get questions now, like a couple times a week. When's your course coming out, dude? When's your course coming out? Like, I get people booking sessions with me, which is cool. But I mean, I'd like to have I guess you could say, better for me in the business, but also better for the client as far as cost or barrier to entry. It's expensive to do a bunch of one-on-one consultations versus take a course, not that taking a course is cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than spending, a bunch of one-on-one sessions with me, to get the information. So I want to get that information out to dudes, and obviously doing it in volume, helps the business out. So it's a win-win. But that's why the book is taking so long. But yeah, I've gone back and forth on this. Do I go back to grad school? But here's the problem. I have to plug myself into an environment, in a narrative, and a set of research biases that I don't agree with and that are really failing. Like, relationship psychology and family therapy is a failing model right now. failing and
generous way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm being as objective and generous as I can. It's because there are some good ones but all the good ones went outside of the credentials they had. They went outside of, they had to. And you can't start from a narrative or a standpoint that's false to begin with and then expect to get good results later. When they start out with men and women are the same, okay, and that's their basic idea that they start with, you're never going to end up with the good results when you're dealing with male-female dynamics.
No, best you can hope for is dealing with a man like he's a broken woman, or a woman like she's a broken man, for all those chicks that love to be alcoholics now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And it doesn't even take into account the communication differences and fundamental brain differences from evolution from men and women. And, a lot of my research prior to, just game and pickup was I was reading evolutionary psychology, started with David Buss, and I'm reading that stuff all the time. David Buss,
the go-to, isn't he?
He's the go-to. He was my first, he had a book that just like, what women, what is it?
Why women have sex?
Why women have sex. Yeah. He's titling it with what I'm searching for. So it pops up. He's like, he seems to know. Like, and
Dude, that book's hilarious. It's like, you read it, you're like, oh, this is great. It's going to be like Penthouse and Field Reports. And you read it, it's like, how do you make 800 pages of stories of fucking so dry?
It is very dry reads, but I kind of like, in some ways I like it because I'm getting through Rollo's fourth book right now, and I'm enjoying it, and so I have to read it slower. I can't. So when I'm reading a scientific study, I look up stuff, look up different, strategic pluralism, and get into it. I'm really reading very quickly and extracting information because it's not a narrative. Like, your book was enjoyable. I had to take it to audio because it was taking me so long. I was enjoying the read. So then I bought the audio, and then I finished it on audiobook, by the way. So I did finish it. I am one of the Kindles that guys that only read 10% or 15%, but I did finish it on audiobook. And so because it's enjoyable, like and so I can't speed read it. You know what I mean? So usually I'll speed read really quick and extract info. But I mean, if I enjoy it, not so much. So that's why David Buss and some of these really dry evolutionary psychologists, like I could just 10x my knowledge very quickly because I'm just pulling it out. Even Mystery's book was kind of enjoyable, so I'm like sort of reading it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean that was just kind of what got me on this path. I didn't really find like anything. Although I think one of the forums I lurked in was So Suave, I think was one of them.
Way back in the day.
Yeah. Like lurk
Actually, So
there,
Suave might still
like,
be around. Is it still around? I gotta go look.
I don't know.
Keep talking. I'm gonna look it up.
I just looked stuff up and then would find forums, people talking, and you're like, okay, you're kind of vetting it out. This guy's dumb. This guy's dumb. Oh, wow, that makes sense. You know what I mean? He's sort of just figuring things out. And so I kind of developed my own way of gaming and maintaining frame and stuff. I didn't come into the red pill circles or community. It was through Rich, like in 2016, I want to say. Maybe.
Oh, really?
It was later, like way later. And that's when Rich was, because I found Rich looking for entrepreneur stuff. Being in real estate, having that business, I had no thoughts of doing Apex mindset or consultation work, nothing like that. I was running a real estate business and doing military stuff on the side. And I found Rich's entrepreneurial channel. I thought it was pretty cool. I like the cars. And then he's talking about like his exes and, it's a little bit about, he would do those little videos. He has beard shaved down, and have quite the beard he has now. And then he got on one day is one of his videos, like how he's red pilled. And I'm, what the hell does that mean? And then he's plugging Rollo's book. And then I'm like, that seems pretty cool. I'll look at, then I read it and I was like, oh, man, this is really good. Like,
dude, I love that. No, like, you know what I mean? Where everybody's like, why would you believe all this nonsense? It's all magic. And you're like, no. If you have any experience, like 80% of it is kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. I've done that. I've done that. And that extra 20%, then it just kind of draws enough of a connection. So you're like, oh, that was the part I missed. And that's the part I like about it. It's not like you were saying with the system, it has a whole new way of thought that you just don't agree with. It's not where you walk in there and you have to learn a whole new language and everything makes no sense. Like it just starts to click.
Oh yeah, I was already doing pickup. I had already had an evolutionary psychology and behavioral psychology sort of background, if you will, in terms of just being autistic in my own way and studying the crap out of it, right? And then here's this book where he had terminologies in there and had stuff that bridged this dry, boring information from EvoPsych into practical application. It was like this bridge or whatever. I don't know where my camera is. I'm trying to make a bridge. Anyway.
It's a wonderful bridge. Wonderful bridge.
Beautiful bridge. And so I was like, damn, all right, this is pretty cool. I really like how he pieces this stuff together. It wasn't like, I learned, as far as learning new info, I would say it's his other books I learned more new info. I'm really interested in where he's going with this fourth one because I have a lot of unresolved thoughts regarding faith and religion with this stuff. I mean, I have some, I stay away from it. I try to keep it as secular as I can because I want as much reach as I can, and I don't want to hide behind some religious belief or ideology. I find that, well, the Bible says this, or we'll do this with a girl because Jesus or whatever. It's like, all right, man, you're just sort of coming up with a reason.
There's like a red-pilled Christian subreddit, and that's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
They left the married red pill subreddit because they didn't like the cussing. Whatever. Which is weird. I'm like, hey, you guys are supposed to be like homophobic. Why wouldn't you like these slurs? They're like, no, it's too sweary. But that's all they do is they're trying to cherry pick the right level of Bible passages to do what everybody already knows you're supposed to do anyway within the red pill.
Right.
But they just need Jesus to okay it. I'm just kind of like, they're missing the point.
No, right. Exactly. And it's like, I'm not an atheist or anything like that. It's just, I am a theist, but I'm like, I'm pretty, if it wasn't for, I joke around about it, if it wasn't for my belief in God, I'd definitely be an atheist, like obviously, but it's just because I'm very evidence-based, I mean, I recognize I'm taking a leap of faith to believe in something where the evidence can't take any further. Yeah, you either believe it or you don't. I recognize that, but I don't want people to do that with their own behavior that they're doing with women in the marketplace and how they handle their kids.
Well, you're a better man than me. I named my dog Christopher Hitchens, for fuck's sake. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. All right.
And
I
see,
guess
I'm a big fan of those guys too, man, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, here, we'll change the pace here. I see a bunch of super chats and we're backed up, so I was going to get them. What are your thoughts on the Secret King delusion bubble and the ideas? Pop it and move it forward. All right. You're familiar with the Secret Kings? A gamma male.
Okay, help me out.
Okay, so a gamma male, it was a term coined by Vox Day. If you remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. He went on and he kind of described partially antisocial personality disorder. Guys who think they're the king of the universe. They got that inner unhealthy narcissism, like I'm the king, you guys are all shit. Kind of like an Elliot Rodger type thing.
Okay. Incels, but
yeah, well, not just incel or black pill. The guys who like go so far as to say it's not my fault I'm not getting laid, it's the world's problem. I'm actually great. They just don't know. But I always that was me as a kid, right? Where they put me in like the gifted class. So I thought I was so smart. So why should I have to put in effort? And then it turns out you're just failing because you're an idiot.
Right.
All right. Well, I guess I'll throw my thoughts in. I'm curious what you say after this. As far as popping the bubble, I'd say the first step is self-awareness. If you are aware that you maybe aren't king dingaling, like you ain't shit. Most people don't think you're shit unless you present them as shit, or what your internal thought process of what it is. Like, I know it's like like you were saying with the self-esteem thing. People think inside, like, I'm the best guy ever. I'm putting my finger painting on the fridge. As a guy, you realize, like, you are what you do. Once you start making those changes to your self-identity by using actions as opposed to your internal feelings, it usually goes away. But for the most part, most guys who are in that Secret King delusion bubble, I find
they're not getting out.
They have to basically get their bag hammered by somebody else. Yep.
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, if you're going in a direction of we'll call it the gamma direction now now I understand what you mean now. But it's, that's more, and it's really more of a very narcissistic worldview kind of, right. And taking zero responsibility for your mistakes. I recommend you put yourself in a situation where you recognize how fragile human life is, including yours. So there was a lot of, right. How about that? Let's go deep here. When you experience a certain level of combat and you realize and you see guys who are better than you, smarter than you, and stronger than you can go down like a bag of crap, just from a very environment. Other people who maybe you think wouldn't be able to survive will do some pretty amazing feats. And some of that's chance, some of that's luck, and some of that's, just mistakes and doing some of the things right. And you realize that everyone is sort of a Rolodex of mistakes and successes and failures, right? And so are you. It's just, realize how fragile everything is, and you realize that you're not really better than anybody. You know what I mean? Brings a little humility to the table. And all you are is a person with a certain set of skills and talents and beliefs that are either serving you and serving everybody else, or they're not, and it's hard to really, I think you got to face that music. I think these guys that have this narcissistic belief and they think they're on top of everything. All right. Have your life really threatened. I don't mean threatened online, right? But I mean in real life, right? Have something really bad happen where
I had 7 mean tweets. I did
it. And it's like, I mean, that I think if there's possible of them stepping outside of this narcissism that they have, if they are going to have any chances of getting out of that mental framework, I think that's the way that can happen.
So that's funny. That's how it happened to me. My boss at the time, Dale, I remember this very clearly because I was like very smart, switched on with all the equipment. But at my rank, you do cleaning stations. So you're scrubbing toilets at 7 p.m. every day. But I'm like, you know what? I'll just set up the WADs, I guess they call it, like the patch panel, do all these circuits. It'll save everybody a ton of time. And I'm so smart. And he goes, look, ordinary seaman, I don't care about your fancy fucking degrees. It's 7 o'clock. So you scrub toilets. I was like, fuck. I was so mad. I'm like scrubbing, just seething about it too. But then after like the 17th toilet, I'm like, all right, I get it. Yeah. It doesn't really matter how smart I am. I get down there and I scrub a toilet.
That's it. Well, and that's military will do that for you. Definitely. I went in with a college degree and it was like, let's belittle this guy for his education. It was really funny. Like, oh college boy, come over here.
Yeah.
Do this, shovel this crap, light it on fire. All right. How's that liberal arts degree treating you, college boy?
Shut up, Jimmy. Hey, do you guys have the same thing as we do in Canada? Like officers usually join the military. Like officers are supposed to have a degree if you guys don't know, at least in Canada. But we found more officers joined to get a degree, while
Mm.
most NCMs joined after they had the degree because they were tired of their occupation. Like I hate being an accountant of that. Is it kind of similar in the States or
Well, I mean, degree is kind of now becoming a requirement to be even a senior NCO. So, E7, like sergeant first class or
Mhm.
master sergeant or, first sergeant or sergeant major, especially sergeant major. It's becoming more of a requirement if you want to go that far in your career. But I mean, guys are getting it through the military. And we have a pretty good college program. So yeah, guys come in to get college. Usually I think guys primarily come in to get college more than they come in to do combat. I went in to do combat, but that's not the mindset of most other people,
how rare? Yeah, I joined infantry. I might have to shoot somebody. You have to what? I didn't sign on for this.
Right. I'm just like, I hate my life. I'm getting office ass and my wife hates me. Can I go shoot someone, please?
Dude, don't even joke. That's why every chick I ever knew who joined the military, they joined to get a man, or they joined to get away from a man, or they joined because their dad was in the military. It's the only three reasons I've ever seen.
With all respect to the couple of female military friends that are a little bit more, we'll say, woke, right? Whatever you want to call it, than their peers. Want to know a good red flag for a girl? They were in the military.
Oh God, yeah, dude.
Hands down. Most of them are not dateable at all. They're just not. No. I liked your stories about the your military Navy chicks because, man, yeah, Navy chicks are something different, especially when they get that shore leave. Yeah, and you're at the bar and they come in. You're like,
dude, I never doubted the wall. You know, a lot of people argue about what the wall is, what the wall isn't. Do you want to know how you can test for yourself what the wall is? Go on a 3-month sale with a 20-to-1 male to female ratio on mids watches. So that's the only light you see is red light, which cleans up any skin blemish. It's the best Instagram filter. You get a 4 out of 10 on a good day with makeup, and 30 days only seeing midnight watches. She's the hottest thing ever. She's king shit. She's what they call Navy hot. 4s that act like 10s.
Yeah, we call them deployment hot.
Exactly. Drop them off in San Diego at the middle of TJX. And so that first night, you basically watch a girl hit the wall. And all of a sudden, none of the guys can give two shits about her. No. I've seen girls lose their fucking mind. One assaulted an officer. She threw a shoe at his head. I don't know how she didn't get charged for it. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen, if you guys doubt this.
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's what's this guy's? All right, so
this is Johnny Bravo. He's one of my private community guys. He likes you, a big fan, but he wants to discuss the balance between being selfish in an LTR and looking after taking care of your woman.
Ooh,
like his story, he's kind of got an issue. It's one of the rare issues where he's got too much alpha.
I have a couple clients like that.
Actually. Yeah, and the problems are to bring enough comfort in, but not to do it in such a way as to remove all the attraction that he's very naturally gifted at building.
Yeah. Well, I'll take this one a little bit. I mean, because I'd gotten to be in that position in my relationships in life later on, like after that marriage broke up and stuff, and I get it. And the thing is, it's like you have to occasionally do some things that let her know that you're in this relationship because you enjoy her, not just the benefits that she brings you or the other stuff that you do on your own mental point of origin. Huh. Right. And so here's a good example of this. So I just went to Key West, right? I wanted to go to Key West. I wanted to go on vacation. Originally, I was going to go to South America, but with this whole COVID stuff, and I just felt like not dealing with that. Plus, I was on standby a bunch of times with Capitol riots and riots in Chicago and some different things with National Guard. So I didn't want to go too far, right? Yeah. So I thought Key West would be a good thing. Now, it was also my chick's birthday, all right, my LTR's birthday. So I planned a trip where I surprised her with a trip to go to Key West.
Right.
And we did a bunch of stuff and it was awesome and had a blast. It was just, got a resort party, all that stuff. Now, here's the thing. I wanted to go to Key West. I'm on my mental point of origin. This is something I want to do. I want to take a hot chick who I happen to have as my LTR, go meet some other chicks and have some fun over in a different place where it's nice and hot and not snowy. So this was not me getting off of my purpose or doing, but guess what? I was also doing it for her. It was like a win-win. So that's a way that you can sort of think about doing that stuff. Is like you're doing something it wasn't about just the trip to Key West though. It was about enjoying my time with her too, you know? And so here's another example too. I had a client who used to, his chick would always want to go to concerts, and they were concerts of music that wasn't exactly what he would listen to, but he only listened to another type of, you know, music. Like he was like a hard rock dude and like metal, like metalcore and stuff. Right. So she could go with him sometimes to those concerts, but he would never go with her to anything that she wanted to do. Find something that's not, you know, you're not going to go, you know, listen, if you hate country music and it makes you want to jab a pen through your eyeball, don't go to the country music concert, but maybe you're going to a different type of a concert that she would like and you would like to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just something that you both would enjoy. And that way it gives her, but the whole point of going is if you enjoy her, right? I mean, I hope so. Otherwise, why are you an LTR? That's my opinion. If I don't enjoy my chick, she's not in my life, you know? Like,
no, I get it. Like you're doing your thing in your life. And if her coming along adds value, she'll stick around, but don't do things to placate her. You're not sacrificing your own needs and values to go do something. Like for that example, if you hate country music is the worst and you can't do it, you're not going to a country music concert with her. Got it. But maybe you're doing something where it's a kind of concert of something that you could enjoy, even though it's not exactly what you would pick, but it's something that she would like too. You see what I mean? It's like you're picking things that you would do, that you would enjoy with her. And that makes her feel that level of comfort that you're doing something with her for her. Without just you like bigger versions of you deciding where you guys were eating dinner tonight. You were going to eat anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. You know, and so it seems to work.
Works for me. All right. Oh yeah, only thing I'll add to that is like not being cruel, but I mean, you're a normal human being. You know how not to be cruel.
Yeah.
Red Sings the Blues. Thanks again. $5 super chat. Sent me the email. Can't wait to talk to you. Yeah, man. Like I said, no problem. We'll discuss it in the email either way. And then Nick, you guys are all awesome. Love all the different personalities and perspectives. Nick, Port Clinton, Ohio. Too much information. Nick. You're going to get doxxed, dude. Everybody knows Nick from Ohio.
Oh man. In trouble now.
All right, I did throw in a little joke when you were talking about the Capitol insurrection. I was like, insert the Pat Stedman joke.
Oh, I ain't even looking at the comments. I should probably go look over there.
Oh yeah, no worries. I'm trying to grab the important ones. It's always my joke because I don't know. There's a little bit of history. This guy has been trying to build us as like Cobra, and he's G.I. Joe for like the last 3 years. And now he's got a fuck up. I'm like, hey, I ate shit from your dumbass for 3 years. You're gonna get at least 2 weeks of grief from me.
This is crazy. Some of the time, I don't understand some of the personalities in the space, man. Like I'll hear about somebody like, oh, this guy or whatever, and I'll be like, cool. And I'll go over like Pat Stedman. I listened to him for like 5 minutes. I was like, I'm not trying to be, I'm like, who's taking advice like from this dude? Like really? Like he seemed like such a weenie to me. I just couldn't. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be like, that was just my impression.
See what you see.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm just like, the guys are trying to be like this guy, right? Really?
Everybody has this realization. And I'll tell you what Rolo told me when I said the same thing. He's like, yeah, something about guys in this space. You got to be a little bit on the spectrum. And he goes, that's why I like guys like you and all the other guys here. It's because like you're normal people. You're not on the spectrum. And I always thought like that's the kindest thing a man has ever said to me.
It's very nice.
It's like, thank you for being at least like functionally adult, like
functionally social.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of it too. Cause like, yeah, you got a work ethic. You're in the military, you've run business, you know how to work out, you drink coffee like a normal guy, but that's just it. Everybody thinks you have to be some kind of like Jordan Peterson, clinical psychologist, you know, act like Jesus, married for 70 years. And the bar is so low.
Yeah.
That just being adequately competent in your life puts you head and shoulders above the other people as long as you're willing to not get hooked on the nose candy, you know?
Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, that and also like, I mean, just offering information that's actionable and of value that maybe is a different perspective than what else is out there. I mean, your book is filled with that. You know what I mean? Your channel has that where we say stuff all the time.
I'm supposed to fluff you on this one. You don't worry about fluffing me. We're going to talk about how great your channel is for fuck's sakes. Yeah. Are you able to type in the chat? Put a link to your channel here. I'm going to put it up for a bit. I got to add it to the description later anyway.
I don't know how to do it.
If you're in StreamYard, you can't. If you have the YouTube channel open, you can pop up the window there.
Oh snap! I'm in StreamYard. I don't know if I want to.
Son of a bitch. Here, I'll tell you what. Here's the link to chat. I'll put it in the chat. Oh, I guess you can't.
Oh.
I'll put it in the private thing here.
Oh,
If you
all
click
right.
that, it'll open a pop-up window to just chat, and then you can
I'm
chill with
learning
these guys.
stuff right now. I didn't even know. This is teaching me about. Oh, hell yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, that's actually going to
Okay.
come in handy because if you ever
Yo.
stream with OBS, you can actually put that in as like a web browser and have your chats show up live, just like if you were to click these ones here. You can actually do that on your own. It's a neat
Right.
little
Right.
option, especially
That's
later on if you want to
cool.
make clips and then you're answering a question and you realize the audience may not know what the question was. It helps out.
Nice. Let me go to my channel. I'm like a kindergartner with trying to learn how to actually no, I'm like a 75-year-old man trying to learn how to use the internet.
Oh, you're better than Rolo. Just trying to get him to play Among Us was like, oh my God, how do you not do this? He goes, I can't figure this out. I'm like, it's a point and click like flash game. All right, while you're looking at that, we'll do DJ Lay's official Billy Canato. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. What do you do if you have a girlfriend that's in your frame but still want to be single and date other women? I'm 24, she's 23. I can do this as an easy one.
Yeah.
She's not in your frame if you're afraid of making decisions and walking on eggshells. I'll say right now.
Yep.
Your
Yeah.
frame, if you wanted to be single and date other women, you would just date other women.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to do some dark triad shit and just plate her, maybe not tell her, open it up unilaterally, fine. Or maybe you're just the guy that's like, look, not ready for a relationship, so we should probably call it here, stay in touch. But yeah, if you had frame, this wouldn't even be a concern for you. You would do the things you want and understand the consequences and just own them.
Right. I hit the button to link my channel. Okay, there it is.
All right.
There you go, guys.
Sweet.
that was huge for me, guys. Huge. I put a link in the chat. What? So
that's
let me
nice.
answer this. Let me answer maybe that last one a little bit.
Oh,
So,
all right. I'll go back to it.
Okay, yeah.
Where the hell did
There's
it go?
Ryan Hypnosis. Ryan's a very talented hypnotherapist, by the way. If you guys,
Oh, what the hell?
need
Oh,
that.
the other one disappeared. All right.
Oh shit.
Oh, no,
Well,
there
I
it
got
is.
the gist of it though.
Yeah.
Okay, so girlfriend that's in your frame but wants to be single and date other women. I'm 24, she's 23. All right, so let me get this straight. All right, let me see. I understand it. So you made her your girlfriend. She's an LTR, but it says but want to be single. So you want to be single and date other women. Well, do you want to be single or do you want to have a girlfriend and date other women? Or do you want a girlfriend and be monogamous? So clearly you don't want to be monogamous. It sounds like you want a girlfriend and you want to bring in other women. So this is a harem game thing. Yes, I agree with Ryan though about frame and that stuff. So here's a good frame test though. You're wanting to bring up the idea of other women. All right. So female jealousy comes from a different place than male jealousy. Male jealousy comes from the place of not wanting to get cucked and take care of somebody else's baby. There's paternal uncertainty for men as we evolved, and that's where our jealousy instincts come from. We want pair bonding. We want to be a chick's best, so we know that she's not going to get pregnant with another dude's kid, and we blow our resources on that kid. That's where the evolutionary thing is, right? Comes from. Female jealousy comes from an ability to keep a man for his resources and for what he has to offer. All right. So she will be jealous if she thinks another woman can take you from her. But most women are rather fluid sexually, especially at 23. So, so most women,
Such generous wording.
yes. So most women are very open to, this is why most women have, experimented with women, and you have that experience where a girl makes out with a girl or tries stuff with girls. Very common with girls. Notice how it's not so common with guys. That also has to do with when we transferred from polyamorous tribes to agricultural revolution, and we had polygamist societal structures where men had multiple women. If the women stepped outside of the marriage and messed around with another guy, right? Or if it was a concubine for that warlord and she stepped out, she would be murdered. Her firstborn child would be murdered because of potential paternal uncertainty, but she could receive pleasure or do stuff with the other women in there and not have an issue, you see? And so that's, in theory, a lot of women are a bit more fluid sexually because for their survival, they had to be during that agricultural revolution and, polygamy. Okay. So there's your excuse. And when they run attraction studies and stuff, most women are responding to all things, but responding to girl on girl stuff, just, sexually. Even if they say verbally, oh no, that's not something I'd want, their bodies that they put measuring systems on would respond sexually to those images. So your girl's probably open to bringing other women, having sex with other women, maybe even letting you do that. She just wants to know that you're her best, you're her most important. So you can bring this. It's harder to bring this though into frame if you've been in a relationship already for some time. Much better, easier to do it in the beginning when you're her alpha lays guy. Okay. You're the alpha guy she's banging, and she's not interested or thinking about long-term anything with you because she doesn't think she can keep you for that. And then you introduce the idea of threesomes, introduce the idea of other girls being attractive, stuff like that early. Some girls will respond negatively to that. And so that's a plate you don't pursue LTR with. Other girls respond positively to it. You can kind of move things in that direction. You could actually have an LTR with that girl where you bring in other women, as long as she knows that the other women that you bring in are not above her. They're simply props for your guys and in additions to your guys' relationships, sexual relationship, not a replacement. All right. So if you can, that's a short answer. Otherwise we can spend like literally hours on this, but if you can sell the idea, we'll say, or present the idea, hey, you're the person I want to be in a relationship with, but I kind of want to explore and play with other women. And maybe I want you to do that with me. If you can present that in a way where she doesn't feel like she is going to lose out to the other girl, you're in, you got it. You're good. All right. It works. There you go. So,
fair enough. Dude, I don't know how you guys do that. I have such little patience for all the extra work involved with like a small harem. Short of like dating. Once a girl's in the house, I'm like, I just want to kick them out and have a nap. There, you're officially more alpha than me. Also, Ryan here, with the hypnosis. Good switched on guy, by the way. Follow him, guys. Now, you're so right about the bar being low. People should be tripping over it. But the sad part is many guys are such train wrecks that not being a spaz is sufficient to win big. Yeah, dude, how can you not enjoy the decline when you realize everybody's a moron? Like, I don't mean that in like a cocky way. I just mean like there's enough morons that all you have to do is not be a moron, and you'll carve out enough success.
Yeah. Yep. It's not that hard.
Yeah. Like, what was that? The top 20%, the Pareto principle. The top 20% of the guys having almost a majority of the sex. But then you realize top 20% in the States was what, like a 36-inch waistline, making 40 grand a year. Right. Like that's what's richest thing, the 6 figures, 6 foot, 6 inch dick,
6 sixes or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. You need like half that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You may be only getting the 5s while Rich is getting the 7s, but whatever. 3 5s is like 15. So that's good.
That's it.
And then Danny, I just wanted to be sure to put something in the collection plate. By the way, I think you have to message me first on Instagram. I said, don't accept it. Okay, dude, just my email address. I put it in that last guy's thing there. Just use that. And otherwise, just send me your Instagram at, I don't know. I should really go back and change these settings on Instagram. Oh, wait, that makes sense. Oh, yeah. You don't know who Carolina Hermes is, do you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, there's this phase. There's always like one middle-aged spinster red pill groupie that always follows around. I'm pissed. Like, where's my 18-year-old fans? But whatever. And they'll always like, this is great. You guys are awesome. Like the total pick me girl shit. And then after 6 months, after hearing like, women ain't shit the third time in a row, they all go feral. And she used to just spam my Instagram with like videos from her car calling me an asshole. And I'm like, I don't need this shit. I don't want my girl looking at my Instagram DMs and wondering like, who's this bitch? And I'm like, no, that bitch. Like, I'm not going to start a fight because some idiot wants to spurg out my DMs, but I think that's probably why I shut it. That nothing to do with anything, but yeah, check the email. We'll just do that when it's easier. And then Irish Alpha 82. Thank you for the 10-pound super chat or euro. Do you remember Marrying Medusa speech at 21 Con? Oh, have you seen that or no?
I have, actually.
I
did see that one. That was an early one I saw.
Yeah, I was convinced by the little guy's antipathy to psychopathy, but why the Ayn Rand worship? Do you guys see cognitive dissonance in the spirit? Oh, dude, I see.
Yeah.
Cognitive dissonance is a human trait.
Absolutely. I actually enjoyed his presentation on that. I mean, unfortunately, I feel like he was describing himself somewhat with how he handles
Dude, I
men
really
and
want
other
to meet
people in
that
his
chick.
life.
I want to
Yeah, me
see.
too. I want to see what
Because
that's all about. Well, I was really like, I was listening to this and I was like, huh. And then if you do a search, like you can find videos where she's in them doing interviews and stuff, old ones. It's pretty
right.
interesting anyway. You're like, huh,
I
but
just laughed when I saw those with that Socrates guy, and he was constantly like trying not to stare at her tits, but like every 15 seconds, you're just like, it's so painfully obvious.
right,
Like,
right, right, right.
now I
Yeah.
can see why you fund this thing. You fat fuck.
God, I was not impressed with a lot of those guys, until like, you guys were brought in later, for that one little small period. I just wasn't. I'm not trying to slam or
No, go
whatever,
for
but
it. I will
yeah,
slam them all day. To be
I
honest,
just
I didn't know what I was getting into. Rolo just said, "Would you like to show up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, a chance to meet Rolo. I'll give it a shot. Whatever."
yeah. I mean, how would you know? I mean, it was interesting. I was being like really kind of careful as I started to I was doing Facebook live videos and trying to learn how to do a video and not sound too ridiculous.
Yeah.
I got a half right maybe, but I was trying to figure out stuff and trying to put things together. And I was looking at different people who are online doing stuff, and I was being very selective because, and this
Smarter
would
than
be,
me.
well,
Smarter than me.
I just had experience. So I was in a martial art community that had a heavy online presence, and I watched when the founder of a particular martial art died,
Mm-hmm.
everything went south, and people were just infighting and just very toxic towards each other. And I was teaching, this is in my 20s, I was teaching a small class and dealing with stuff, and I was kind of pretty far along in this organization too. I was one of the youngest black belts that could test other people for black belt, was part of their board and all that. So I was like really into this crap. And I had like adult males, like significantly older than me, like trying to have like online flame wars with me in this forum. And I'm just like, what is going on? And so I saw how toxic too a lot of these people were. There were people that I thought were okay, and then as soon as that founder died and they could sort of try to grab a piece of this guy's legacy and business, it
Right.
was like you really saw almost immediately who was a true piece of crap and who was a good person and who was trying to just sort of build their own thing and not trying to take from other people, hurt other people. You know what I mean, hurt their business, hurt reputation and all that. Like you could just really tell who was a jackhole and who wasn't. And so getting into this stuff, I'm like, well, if I'm going to step into this space and in this area, I really need to be careful who I align myself with. I want to be around good people I have a good sense about, because even if you're a good person, then we have a good sense of values. We're going to be able to figure out stuff. It's not so much your content, what you're putting out. It's like the character of the person, because there's going to be so many people that get attracted to this stuff that are total loser dorks, as we've seen. And you just don't want to find yourself aligned with this person now and then sucked into some bull crap argument that does nothing to help men out. Like you're here to help men do better, and now you're warring with some idiot you know what I mean, and over nothing, and it's just hurting everyone's business. And
I like you're really hurting my first year's heart.
well, I mean, I just learned the lesson earlier. That was the only thing, and I hung back in the background, and I was very appreciative of being invited to do the Rule Zero thing, because I always thought I can tell who's in it. Like I have a pretty good sense of who's in this to try to make a good difference and make a business out of it too. It's okay to do both, but who's
well,
in
you kind
it?
of almost have to. That's the thing. If you're just going to help as a charity thing, you're going to have limited time, limited resources.
You won't be able to do it effectively,
But if you can carve out a living on it, then like sky's the limit. As much as you can throw in there, as long as you don't get that. Like I think you're like me. You don't have dreams of like 7 Ferraris in your garage or any shit like that.
No.
It's like, bills are paid, and I'm starting to save a little for a nest egg. I'm perfectly happy. Modest goals.
Yeah, I want to get this, touch as many people as I can so they can have better relationships and the better I do on a business sense, the more volume and the better quality I can put out. I mean, it's just the way it is, but you have people that are more about the grift and they're more about the personality. Like they're more about like, they're trying to be cool. Like they're trying to be like an online celebrity or something. And you're like, dude, you guys are dorks, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Dude, it's the pandering. I just don't get it. Like of all the places you want to be popular, the internet.
I know, right?
Like, could you remember when we were kids that somebody would get beat up for saying that? Like, remember back when wearing a video game t-shirt was like an invitation to get dunked on? Now people are wearing it like to the bar.
Right. Yeah, chicks are wearing it to try to pick up gamer guys.
That's what I'm starting to wonder. If the biggest problem now isn't that guys don't know how to get laid, is that just guys are atomized and don't see other guys? And so they never have that feedback mechanism for when, that ain't it.
Oh, huge deal. I have a 10-year-old who is, I tell him stuff. It's such a weird dynamic because I have this 10-year-old and I'm just like, he is on another planet. I don't even know he is online watching people play video games on YouTube. And I'm like, well, get outside. What do you, go play. Go
Where, Dad? Outside's closed. The government shut down. Damn it.
No, that was the thing. Like, kid couldn't even go to a park. What am I supposed to do? Play in the street? Yeah, play in the street. Gotta be healthier than getting on the screen. But yeah, it's crazy because like kids aren't allowed to bully nowadays, which, okay, some of the real toxic, we're not trying to kill kids with a bullying scenario, right? But certain amount of, social, like, hey, you're a dork for doing that. I better stop doing that. I mean, that kind of, that tempered people socially. It made people sort of understand their social awkwardness and try to improve that or fix that. With anti-bullying, they're not allowed to say that. So what they do is they'll open up a website or a Facebook account and just make fun of some kid relentlessly and horribly online, but then nobody says anything to his face. He just grows up being awkward. Next thing you know, shooting a school up or something, right? I mean, it's like,
dude, I'm not ashamed to admit I was bullied in high school, and I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me because that was like that and my shitty ass stepfather were like my two biggest motivators to get the fuck out of that shithole town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my biological and also when I was young, I got beat up a bunch. Got beat up till about middle school, and then I finally went nerd rage on like the bigger kid, and that was over with that.
That sounds an awful lot like retard strength. I'm just saying. It
was just my medulla oblongata went after this kid, just a water boy,
That's the thing. It kind of freaked me out too. As you talk to guys now, like we're not that old. I'm like 40 now, and you're like 43, 42, something like that.
Yeah, 43 tomorrow. Happy birthday to me.
But just a couple years younger than us. There's guys who have been raised that have never like fought another guy. They've never been bullied, and we always thought of it as a bad thing because it sucked at the time. But you're starting to see, like you said, those second order consequences of. And I hate to and this is where like the worst part is the solutions of the guys where we want rites of passage back, like the Spartans. Yeah. I'm like, dude, Spartans haven't even been Spartans. They did that as PR to scare off the Greeks. It's like, back in the day, we had to go fight in World War II. That was our rite of passage. It's like, it wasn't a rite of passage. The Queen needed people to go bomb Germany before Britain went down. Like, it wasn't a rite of passage. They just needed warm bodies for the fire.
Yeah.
Or the hunting. It's because, there's not extra people in my tribe. You go hunting or we starve.
Yeah. It was.
And everybody's looking back to that.
Well, that's the thing. There was hardship that tempered people.
Yeah.
We don't have there's no hardship now other than what people do to themselves.
The good old knuckle push-ups in the cold shower.
Yeah. Cold shower.
The ice bucket challenge.
That's right. Right.
Oh, here's one. Elder Santos. I think that's the last one. Okay. Operation Scorched the Earth saved my marriage, but I have a bit of resentment towards my wife. I accomplished what I wanted. Why is that residual effect? This is probably a coaching question. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. If you don't know this, Operation Scorched Earth, it's essentially the concept of if you're in a struggling marriage, dead bedroom and that, consider the marriage dead. Mm-hmm. You have like 12 months to put yourself in a position where you never have to beg for sex ever again. Whether it's with the wife or whether it's with who you replace her with, whatever. And that's the idea. This shit's dead. I'm assuming you're dead. If you want back in my life, you have until I'm ready to like win me over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is actually something I should have probably brought it up in the book, but I don't. I'll have it in the Dread book. That bit of resentment, totally normal. Because you're going to see this resentment is going to start off blaming your wife. Like, I hate you. I hate how you have to do this. Part of it's because you think I had to do all of this for you to start liking me.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize, is this even sincere? Until you realize it's just, she responded to how she responds.
Yep.
And you're not mad at her. You're mad at you for letting it go on so long. And then you realize how easy it is that you could actually flip things around when you want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have experience with doing dread in that sense. So my marriage I talked about, I got my marriage back on track. I mean, I had ready available sex whenever I wanted. Things 180'd in my marriage. I flipped it all around when I got better at game and communication and learned how to institute dread, and wasn't even calling it necessarily dread, but just it was, some of it was just more circumstantial. The only thing was I left the marriage when I left on my own accord, and we're actually on great terms. Like I have a great relationship with my ex. We co-parent. It's like awesome, so when you leave on your own terms, it's usually how you can like maintain frame still outside of it. When guys get stepped on and effed over, there's no frame there, right? But yeah, I mean, you just start working on yourself and start making yourself a sexually marketable person. But that resentment is there for sure, like in the beginning,
Yeah.
But after a while, you realize it's your fault too, man. I hate to say it, but
yeah.
You're F up as bad as it was hers,
That's the one thing I hate saying, fault or blame. I hate those two words. I always say that's for kids and women to worry about, only because then that everybody's worried about who's responsible for it. That's why I say responsible more, but I mean, that's a semantic quibbling.
Yeah, I get what you mean though. But I mean, you're responsible. Like I was responsible for the demise of my marriage in the beginning, because as soon as I changed my behavior, what happened? I got it all to work again. Yeah. I was also responsible for picking a person that I really wasn't as compatible with as I could have been a different person, right? I picked somebody who was good on paper, but that chemistry, that high attraction arousal just wasn't there. I had it. And it just, I knew I could have a better relationship with somebody else. And so could she, That was make the mature adult decision to walk away from it at that point. But, it's from a position of power when you have frame and you're doing the right behaviors to communicate with a woman you're with, not, just like getting stepped on and she hates you and resents you and you can never do enough. Like, that's not fun.
Holy geez. All right. So I had to go. I have a client actually at 5:30, my last client.
Oh, dang.
Ever. I've been trying to turn it off and it's hard. So we'll get through these ones here. Irish Alpha 82 again. Yep. I was in a long-term relationship with a bad sadistic narcissist who brought me to Red Pill. Oh, at least she's doing good. She did good for you. Yep. Helped me realize my father was a super narc and I was being gaslit my whole life. Do you find them or do they look for you? Ooh, so I'll let you go on this one, but quickly here, it's a bit of both. If you read David Dutton's Wisdom of Psychopath, he talked about this, and I've seen examples, again, usually in the military, because everybody's extremely open about this kind of shit, but
yeah,
the kind of guy who's an easy mark is usually because their parents treated him as like a codependent with their narcissism, and so he has all the behavioral traits that other people who are heavily narcissistic in their behaviors will pick up on. So it's kind of like how chicks complain. How often chicks are online complaining about their mental illness? I'm so rude. I can't cook.
Broken.
Yeah, I'm broken and this shit. Demons. And then they wonder, how come every guy I meet is this codependent pussy who tries to fix me? And you're like, well, it's, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is a little bit of both. What happens when, this is interesting. This is sort of kind of like mindset and sort of brain study stuff, right? But to look at a model of it, this is sort of the EMDR model too, because I do EMDR with clients, which is trauma therapy. So when you have bad things happen to you that signal a danger or a threat or whatever,
right.
You'll store that stuff in, if you think of it like a filing system in your brain, think of it like a trauma file. And so anything that happens in your environment that resembles that trauma or danger, you're going to have a reaction to it to try to avoid that future pain. So some of those things are get angry with it and try to fight it. Some of those things are to try to run from it or escape from it.
So fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah, kind of thing. But there's another one that if your sense of value and who you are was being attacked, or you're being devalued by a caretaker, especially, then there's a tendency to want to bring in someone with similar traits. You want to bring that thing in closer to try to then overcome those traits. See, because if you bring in this narcissistic chick that had similar traits to your caretaker that devalued you, and then she loves you and gets rid of her traits and chooses you instead, all of a sudden now you're a valuable person. You see how that works? And so unconsciously, you're trying to achieve value through this other person because they have these traits that resemble the devaluation that happened in the first place.
Dude, that's mind fuck too, because then the other person's, even though they're the narcissist, they're not a person in your eyes. They're that surrogate of your caretaker.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Literal daddy issues.
literal. And I've done that a little bit. And I tell you, the way to get if you have a pattern of getting with toxic women, which I did, this is a problem of mine after the marriage. I wasn't that excited about the wife. She wasn't toxic enough. And then after that, it was a narcissistic type, chick. She fit all the categories for being a narcissist. Oh man, head over heels over that one. That was a real toxic relationship. Right. Got into one with a BPD chick later. I noticed a pattern. Like I would have, and I was good at game. I had all of the selection for hot women ranging from, pretending no tens exist, ranging from 7 to 9.5, right? And a lot of those, there are a fair amount of those women that didn't have these toxic traits. I would pick the one that was just a little bit crazy, just a little bit crazy enough where she was going to fall apart 6 months into it, break frame, and start doing really crazy crap, and all of those abandonment issues and her problems would start coming out, and then she would start doing those narcissistic abuse behavior or BPD abuse type behaviors. And so I got rid of it through EMDR. EMDR was something I did for PTSD management and eradicated any of the effects from PTSD that I had. And
really?
Also, yes, eradicated. It sounds crazy, but I mean, it for me, that's exactly what that did. And I'm sure it was a combination of some other things too, but EMDR was like a real missing piece. I thought EMDR was going to be bullcrap too. I'm a real skeptical person, but I followed advice of a friend and started doing it. And I ended up getting certification in it so I could do it for other people because it's pretty good. And so
that's crazy. Yeah. My buddies who've had it, it's always, they're talking, they don't even say it's like a trigger. It's almost like a limbic brain thing. Like he would, every time he saw like a plastic bag lying on the side of the road, just flapping in the wind, he would have that was his trigger event. Because he was remembering seeing bodies as he went by.
Right. And so these are memories stored in those trauma centers. And what you do is you bring up those images and then you actually reprocess them and store them into a different part of the brain so that you're more accepting of that event. And so it doesn't change your personal values on the event, but it changes your way of perceiving it. When I did that regarding past toxic relationships and some things from childhood, I no longer was attracted to the crazy women. I was actually repelled by them. So I noticed later on when I would have choice between 3 hot women, and one was normal, one was like really exceptional, and one was a little bit crazy. Right. Before I'd choose the crazy, I was choosing the one that was a bit more exceptional and a better choice at that point. And it would just happen automatically. It wasn't this thing where I had to tell myself, okay, you're really attracted to the crazy one with the septum piercing and the face tattoo, but don't go for her. Like I had to really self-talk it. It wasn't like that at all. I just would not go for it.
I can't look at a girl with the septum piercing and not think of a cow.
I know. I'm just throwing that in there.
No, it's perfect.
Piercings, but yeah, it's just. But you never know, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so man, that's if you're really struggling with that. Consider getting in with an EMDR person. Schedule a consultation with me. I help guys. I'm not trying to just plug my crap, but I help guys.
No, it's part of that too. Guys need to. That's the thing. Most people have no idea who you are. Barely know who I am. So the least they can do is just find out. It's like, go check it out if you like it. If you don't like it, go over there and spurg out, and he can block you from chat. Either way, it's value for everybody. Fun for the whole family.
Fun for everyone. Absolutely.
Besides, I like these ones. Like, did I ever it's cause I call this thing Lloyd's Coffee House. I don't know if you know what the significance of that is. Do you?
You explained it once.
Well, it's the Scottish Enlightenment. Because everybody in England used to drink beer because everybody shit in the river and they didn't realize that's why they were getting cholera and dysentery.
Right.
And so beer was the only way you boiled water first, but they didn't figure that out. But then coffee was the same thing. You were able to boil water to make coffee. And then Brits found out when they were drunk, they couldn't get shit done. They start making them sober, give them a stimulant. They're like, hey, let's make a steam engine.
Right.
And Lloyd's Coffee House was like the main place where guys of all walks of life got together to talk about this stuff.
Oh, that's right. You explained that on one of the shows.
Yeah. I just like it here because, I mean,
That's awesome. I love it.
American soldier from the Midwest, I'm assuming his accent sounds Midwesty.
Yeah, absolutely.
You and I would have never met if it wasn't for, the internet or this Lloyd's Coffee House. We'd have never swapped notes. You would have never been teaching these guys about EMDR. I'd have never been teaching guys about, narcissistic person, all this stuff. And so it's really like the great equalizer. And it turns out all these guys who get 8 years of education, certified qualifications, get a couple guys together and just talk about their dicks for half an hour, and you're kind of on better footing,
Yeah, well, for sure. We're helping a lot of dudes out, making an impact.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy and several other guys who are having problems hooking up with toxic women are going to look into some therapy modalities that might fix that. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? I think.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, dude, like I'm surprised how often Royal like weekly emails about some guy who was like, I was on the cusp to starting the car in the garage and letting it run until I read your book, and I'm like, damn. Like, I get a little bit of that, but nowhere near that level. I would weight of that alone, man.
Oh, it's crazy. I get them in consultations. I get them. I get them too. I don't know how, more or less, probably less frequent. I mean, Rollo's got his book has so much reach, and my little channel does. But I mean, I've gotten a fair amount, man. It's really rewarding. It keeps you on it. Makes you want to keep doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, and people are just so unhappy, man. Like, relationships are crap. Like, you look out. Rich just did a video where he threw a study up, and it was like 13% of relationships at the 8-year mark could consider themselves happy, and it was only like 2 or 3% that were like in complete bliss. That seems about accurate. It's not black. It's not black pilled, but or none of them ever work. But yeah, it's a really low percentage.
The MGTOW black pill thing, they're just focused on divorce rate. They forget about the 50% still together and how many of those are in abject misery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because all they're worried about is my resources. It's never my money, my house, my kids. It's always resources. Like, they talk about owning shit in the abstract.
Because they don't own things.
Yeah, well, that was something Chesty said, which is he found amazing. He goes, my best indication about who's a piece of shit in the sphere is who talks about women in the abstract. So as opposed to like in real life. And I just started laughing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. You'd like him. Anyways, I hope you don't mind. We got to end this on the half hour because I have my client call here. But
yeah, man, of course.
Let people know how to reach you, what you got coming up, all that shit.
Yeah. So go to Apex Mindset on YouTube, and if you just follow my stuff, hit subscribe. I threw the link someplace in the chat, and I can do it again before we hang up. Maybe figure that one out. Here, I'll do it right now. Let's see if it works again. Okay, cool. All right, so there we go. Threw it in the chat again. That's the best place to go because I'm pretty new at doing all this stuff, but I'm inundated with a lot of demands for my time in a very positive way. I get very booked in consultations. And so guys who are struggling with stuff, you can schedule me for a consultation, hit me up on my email. My email is on my channel. So if you click on any video in the description link, you'll have my email address there. You'll have get on an email list. If you're on the list, when I drop a course, all my people on the list will get a discount. I got free content that'll come out on the list sometimes, although I haven't put anything out in a while. Right. So pretty much, again, that YouTube channel is really the main source. I plug Ryan's book now in every one of my videos. I have a little reading list I put in my description. I put your book in there. I got Rollo's stuff and Rich's stuff. So yeah, but
I just realized Ryan was telling me that your links don't show up unless you're a mod on the channel. Can you just type some normal shit like a hi so I can mod you up on this?
Oh yeah, sure. Let me jump back on here.
All right. Now I'm the boomer.
Hi.
Oh yeah, don't worry about that. I found out how if I want to plug the book, all I got to do is say some shit to trigger a bunch of feminists with daddy issues.
And they'll go buy it.
Yeah. Oh no, dude, I'm not even joking. I put
hilarious.
That. How do you make a woman happy? You drag her to happiness, kicking and screaming.
Dude, that was so dumb. It's so weird. The things that people get mad about. Why are they even get mad about this?
Well, I figured it out. It's like everybody in there starts sharing their childhood trauma with me. I'm like, what the fuck are you telling a stranger this for? Like, I don't want to know this. You don't want other people to know this. Whatever happened to shame? But yeah, then right after that, I looked like 100 ebooks going off. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. I can see why the grifters are so happy. Get them a little mad, piss off a feminist, and like, yeah, I'll buy this merch. Screw these feminists.
Yeah,
whatever.
Am I a mod yet? I just hit the link again.
No, for some reason, I can't see you on here. Do I have the right window open?
I don't know. Let me.
God damn it. Here, put it in the private chat. I'll put it in there myself, and I'll fix this. I don't want these guys watching me fuck around.
Yeah, I got you. There it
Oh, wait,
is.
there you are.
Oh, hey, oh.
All
Got in
right.
the private chat too, but
Gotcha.
either way.
All right, guys. Follow
Cool.
these ones out. Check it out. You'll enjoy.
Yeah, it was fun. We got to do this more often.
For sure. I know. I
Yeah,
normally like to do 2 hours. The timing just really sucked on this one
no
because
worries, man. We do want to, I'll jump in with Carl and you if you guys are, just shooting the shit in one of those Saturday mornings. I have to wake myself up early though.
I was going to say that's the big reason we never have anybody else on because, like, I'm not doing 9 a.m. on a Saturday. Are you retarded?
Like this weekend, I had 2 house parties, a lot of stuff going on. It was definitely late wake ups both days. Doing a lot of things that guys in the space need to be doing, like
son
having
of a
sex
bitch.
with women, and going to parties.
Ontario is like so close to prison colony right now. Like
Damn.
they figured out the system. Quebec is just like curfews and shit. But what Ontario did is they just close every business that you'd ever want to leave your house to go to.
Ugh.
So nothing's open except for grocery stores, weed stores, and liquor stores.
No,
I can't
yeah.
even go outside for a walk because it's like -10 outside.
That's lame. Well, we were pretty bad here in Michigan, probably not as bad as Ontario, but we're pretty bad here, and we're getting out of it. We have people throwing just house parties, frequently enough. So we'll, get people together, get some alcohol, get some food, invite a bunch of people, do a Facebook invite, and it's actually pretty sweet.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Our big
so
one here, a
it's
lot of
bad.
Sikh weddings. And what they would do is because they in Brampton, where there's like a giant Sikh community,
Yeah.
they'd lock that place down, no weddings, no events. So they'd go to a different borough and have the party there. And then
Okay.
that borough's cases would spike. And so that borough gets shut down. And so they keep floating around until the entirety of like Toronto looks like a danger zone. Absolutely brutal.
Damn, dude.
But yeah, thanks Rafi for the super chat here. All right, I gotta let you guys go. Have fun. I don't know how to